Cronenberg, we meet again. Rabid, The Brood, Scanners, Videodrome, Dead Zone, Dead Ringers, The Fly, Crash, Existence, and finally a return to body horror with Crimes of the Future. I have been dying to see this film ever since it was announced, ever since it played, and ever since I heard that people walked out. It never got an Australian release, but it's out on VOD. For some reason, it had a quiet release onto the VOD market, and I am a Cronenberg fan. I'm a body horror fan, and I wonder if I'm going to survive this film. This is his first feature film in 8 years. The film was entirely shot in one warehouse, and it has a killer cast including Lee Sandhu, Viggo Mortensen, Kristen Stewart, and Scott Speedman. I have not looked at the blurb. I have not watched the trailer. I am just down for a good time, and I'll tell you the truth. If you can hear my voice, I have been going through it. So I think I'm primed for a body horror, surrealist experience. I think that my brain has not yet come back to humanity after getting sick. So I think that this is gonna match my fever dreams that I've been having nightly. And we're gonna go check out this new Cronenberg film, completely spoiler free. And I'm gonna sum up my thoughts and give you the answer whether this film will be worth you personally, if it's gonna suit your personal taste and worth you renting at home. If you have not checked out Crimes of the Future, why not watch along with me? If you're too scared, I'll let you know whether it's worth your time. And if you've already seen it, let me know down in the comments what your thoughts are and if you think I'll like it. But enough chitter chatter. I don't know anything about the film, so let's go find out. Made a huge mistake. I don't know why, when I considered the fact that this was Cronenberg's first film in several years, that it wouldn't be more like his last film than films that I really love that's earlier in his work. I know a lot of people are fans of Existence. Of course, this is still nothing like that, but it's definitely closer in that kind of realm of sci-fi. The film really takes on that futuristic environment more than anything. And I was not there for it. This film, I can understand why people walked out, and it's probably different to what I first anticipated, which I assumed people probably walked out because he was really bloody and gory and gross. And although it is some of those things, I think there is a level of almost boredom going on. This makes me really sad. I had really high hopes for this, and not like I had high hopes as in I thought it was going to be this big epic masterpiece, but just because I really love what he does with body horror, and returning to that, I thought that he'd bring something new to the table, and this film feels almost outdated from the moment it started. Wow, I'm roasting it. I did not expect to do that. Let's talk a little bit about what it is about, because I actually wish I didn't go in this blind. I think having expectations would have lowered, or more just gave me a feel of what to expect, which is why these videos exist. Obviously, I'm going to stay spoiler free for this, but I'm going to try and explain this in a very simple way, but it is a very convoluted story. So set in the future, the film takes place in a time where humans are dealing with radical biological changes. We can see disease affects humankind, and many have lost the sensation of pain. As a consequence, surgeries are done in the open, even in the street. Here we follow who I would call the main protagonists, although that's also just really sketchy to say because we'll get to it. But they're two artists that work together to create live performances of surgery. The artist who plays the patient role is dealing with a strange affliction in which his body creates new vestigial organs. But one of their performances attracts two oddballs from the organ registry, and Kristen Stewart, being one of them, is very attracted to the patient. In fact, he becomes the center of a lot of conversations, including the upcoming Inner Beauty pageant. That was like a very short and simple way of explaining what was going on in this film. It is super interesting the way it's put together, because you go in and there's no real protagonist that you would usually cling on to. Sometimes when things are set in the future, you either go in with someone, you know, as the main character, and you get to know their inner dialogue, who explain things to you, but you're kind of just picking up things along the way. This film was giving me Organ Crimes from Repo, the Genetic Opera, except none of the fun, campy elements. Obviously, none of the musical scenes, although it does have Scott Speedman in a alley begging for the unthinkable. It's like this dry, drawn-out film with no real character arc or really anyone to pull you through the story, so you're kind of left grasping at straws for what you actually care about in the film. It presents some interesting ideas, obviously, about the future, about organs, and about what's going on for humans and what it means when pain is taken away, where we get our sensation or our passion for life. And as this film portrays this marriage of futuristic machinery and cutting people open as a form of expressing one's sexuality. But between all of the shocking moments with the blood and the guts and the organs, because you do see it all, there's not really much left to be desired. Although that's like the main storyline, there's a couple of different things that happen, especially at the start. I just don't obviously want to go into it to spoil anything, but there are several different plot lines that are happening in the background. Although I didn't feel connected to any of them and really cared about them coming to fruition, it was more of the idea of what was happening more than anything substantial coming from it. I also felt like Kristen Stewart. I had this moment with her in this. She acts very robotic and strange, but I think it's obviously she's meant to be this kind of oddball character and awkward, and like they reflect on that and they talk about that and about her. But it was almost like she was putting on a performance. Like I felt like I was watching a play, the way she was overacting everything. And then it made me think about how the film is about this performance itself and how it is like performative art. And it kind of like got me into this strange loop of thinking, is this a comment more on performative art? And that's why it's shot in this very strange kind of maybe it is dry, muted down way. It was like a drama that had these like really cool sci-fi elements and a little bit of blood and gore, but there wasn't really much else going on. And I don't know if I'm reaching or I'm just trying to love it or like it. But for me, it kind of comments on the fact that we're not feeling this intenseness throughout the whole film, like these people would not feel pain. It's so normalized for them. So I thought that this might be an attempt at a simulation of that. I also felt for me, it was a little bit of like a nod to the desensitization of the audience and how we push for this dark cinema, but how much we can really take, because it explores the idea of humans seeking different kind of gratification that would have been really taboo in the past, seeking to feel something deep inside themselves, literally, because they don't feel pain anymore. They're looking to feel the next sensation or the closest thing to that. And maybe that's actually a commentary on us, the audience, watching these films, hoping to be disgusted and to feel something and to, just be thrilled. I don't know. I mean, I'm definitely reaching there, but those are just some thoughts I had because there was a lot of dead air for me. There was a lot of conversations that I didn't really get into, and I mean, this could be COVID brain for me as well, but it just felt like it was very convoluted and complicated for the result. I didn't feel like it did the best job of creating any tension or exciting the viewer. You're just kind of watching these scenes threaded together, but not really caring if there are any good results from it. And I feel like the tempo structure for this film was also strange with that. You're kind of thrown into all of these issues instead of having a character, they're setting up for their goals, and an issue comes along and then, things shift. But in this film, I feel like there is no kind of arc to any of the characters. You're not really following one in particular, and you don't really get to know them very well or anything about their background. It's a very shallow film that has a lot of complicated ideas, so I found it really hard to grab onto anything in particular. I honestly didn't feel like I was going to come out of that like this. I thought I'd be really disgusted and shocked. I will say the music was really interesting. It had some really nice repetitive scores that were classical and did like this nice swell that was almost curious, and that at the start really had me, especially when you look at all the different machinery and tools they use. It's really interesting to dive into a completely different world, but when nothing is really explained or there's no real narrative to follow all the way through and be excited about the result, it really just didn't seem as shocking as it should be. I don't know if people kind of bowed out because of the last scene, which I didn't feel was shocking. I felt like that was kind of owed to the audience because they really talked it up for a long time. But yeah, I was not shocked by this film. I thought that this was going to be like really shocking and really gross and yeah, just like, you know, the Brood kind of energy, but it definitely wasn't for me. If you are into sci-fi though, and you do like the idea of looking at like dystopian futures, especially ones that involve human biology, this could be for you, but for me it was a little bit too slow, and I wouldn't say it's even a slow burn because it doesn't feel like there's really a payoff to it. Yeah, I was really disappointed that there was no like character story, or it wasn't really character driven at all. I should mention, even though this does share the same name as the film he has in the 70s, this is not a remake. It does not share the same concept or storyline. For me, I'm going to give this one a personal score of 4. I'm really shocked. I am. I'm really shocked and I'm really saddened by this. For originality, I will give it a 8 though. I do think it's quite original, so definitely props to that. And for scare, it was gory. I mean, it is pretty gross at some points. It is very realistic when they cut people open and when you see that, so you see all of that. So if you aren't into organ play, probably don't watch. But I don't think it's scary itself. It's just all gore. So maybe like a 6 for gore. I'd love to hear what everyone else thinks about Crimes of the Future. It hit VOD in the last 2 weeks. So if you haven't checked it out yet, let me know if you're going to after this, but I probably wouldn't recommend it. I'm really sad to say that because Kristen Stewart and David Cronenberg, are you kidding me? Yeah. So sad. Anyway, I hope you're having a fantastic day. If you have a completely different opinion, I'd love to read in the comments below. If you have not subscribed and this is the first video you're seeing of me, what a strange video to say hello. Hi, my name is Emma, also known as Spooky Astronauts here on YouTube, and I do 2 videos every single week talking about horrors, talking about thrillers, and giving you a lot to put on your to-watch list or telling you what's worth your time and what's not. I hope you're all having a fantastic day, and I'll talk to you very soon. Stay spooky. Bye, friends.